My name is Myra Wells. I'm 29 years old, and 3 weeks ago, I got married without my parents there. Years ago, my parents spent $127,000 on my brother Derek's wedding, flying in relatives from 3 states, renting out a country club, and hiring a 12-piece band. But when I announced my engagement to Nathan, a man who loves me more than I ever thought possible, my father looked me in the eye and said, "Follow my rules or pay for it yourself." So I paid for it myself. What my parents didn't expect was who would show up on my guest list: CEOs, partners at top law firms, a former senator, people they'd spent their whole lives trying to impress. And when the truth about their so-called wedding fund came out, some secrets didn't stay buried forever. I've always tried to please my family. My parents, Richard and Linda Wells, live in a 3-bedroom colonial in Worcester, Massachusetts. Comfortable, middle class, the kind of family that takes vacations to Florida every other year and boasts about the mortgage being paid off. My father retired from middle management 5 years ago. My mother quit working part-time when I was in high school. My brother Derek, the golden child, is 4 years older than me, a high school star quarterback, UMass graduate, now a sales manager at a tech company. His life was always celebrated, and my achievements quietly acknowledged. 3 years ago, Derek married his college girlfriend, Brittany, in a lavish ceremony at Hillrest Country Club. 250 guests, champagne toasts, lobster dinners, and an ice sculpture of their initials. My parents paid $127,000, and my mother proudly repeated the figure at least 15 times during the reception. I stood in the corner in a bridesmaid dress that wasn't my color, listening to my father's toast about investing in family. I thought to myself, when it's my turn, they'll see I'm worth investing in too. Naive, I was. Then came Nathan. We met at a financial compliance conference in Boston 2 years ago. He caught me yawning during a tax panel. I caught him laughing at me. Coffee, dinner, long conversations until the hotel bar closed. Nathan is 32, partner at his family's law firm with a quiet confidence that comes from never having to prove himself. But the thing I love most, he listens. He actually hears me. His family, unlike mine, values empathy over appearances. The first time I met his mother, Eleanor Whitmore, at their Beacon Hill home, she welcomed me warmly. Roast chicken for dinner, vegetables from the farmer's market, lemon tart she baked herself, genuine curiosity about my life. No one in my family ever asked about my dreams, not really. Nathan proposed on a Thursday evening in October on the rooftop of our favorite restaurant, city lights glittering below. I said yes before he finished. Excited, I called my parents the next morning. "Nathan proposed," I told them. Silence. Then my mother squealed with delight, and my father asked about Nathan's job. They promised to support me, to help with the wedding. That night, an email arrived from my mother. "We want to contribute $100,000 toward your wedding, just like we promised when you were little. Love, Mom." I screenshotted it. Something inside me told me I might need proof someday. 3 weeks later, reality crashed in. Dinner at my parents' house to discuss wedding plans. My father handed me a folded sheet titled Guidelines. All family must be invited, no child-free wedding, no destination wedding, final approval of guest list rests with them, ceremony at St. Catherine's. 200 guests, many I hadn't spoken to in decades. My parents demanded obedience. "Or pay for it yourself," he concluded. Nathan and I tried to negotiate, child-free for the ceremony only, immediate family only, smaller guest list. No, their rules were non-negotiable. I called Derek. He admitted a separate fund existed for him since birth, but never for me. The $100,000 promised by my mother? Empty words, bait to control. Nathan held my hand as I realized it. I would fund my wedding myself. The weeks leading up to the wedding were a storm. My mother posted on Facebook, relatives called, texts poured in. They turned my wedding into a public referendum on my character. Nathan stayed calm, grounding me, reminding me they were performing, not judging me. I refused to bend. I would have the wedding my way, even if it meant standing alone against my family. Jessica Torres, my best friend and talented wedding planner, helped us orchestrate an intimate, elegant ceremony in Napa Valley. 85 guests, a budget of $90,000, $50,000 contributed by Eleanor, and $40,000 from Nathan and me. The guest list included friends, mentors, clients, and only 5 relatives from my side. Carol Bennett, my mother's former colleague and a trusted family confidant, was invited not to cause trouble, but because she knew the truth. When she revealed that my parents had saved $150,000 for my and Derek's weddings and had given Derek $127,000 while leaving me with nothing, it spread quietly among the guests. The truth needed no confrontation. It revealed itself naturally. 3 weeks before the wedding, my parents tried to reclaim control. They called, emailed, and even visited my workplace. But Nathan, Jessica, and Eleanor stood with me. I was calm, firm, resolute. No rules would dictate my marriage. I drew boundaries, refusing to be manipulated or guilted into compliance. I realized the love my parents offered came with conditions and ultimatums. Nathan and Eleanor's support reminded me that family could be chosen and love could be unconditional. The rehearsal dinner was small, 30 people at a Michelin-starred restaurant overlooking the vineyards. My parents, uninvited, showed up, expecting to be acknowledged. I confronted them calmly, explaining that after their threats, public shaming, and conditional promises, they had forfeited their claim to special roles. Eleanor mediated, reminding them that letting go of control was the truest form of support. They left, frustrated, but the evening continued beautifully. Carol Bennett's presence ensured that the truth was quietly known, creating an invisible shield around our celebration. On the wedding day, I woke to sunlight and the gentle hum of activity in the suite. Jessica and her team fussed over hair, makeup, and steaming my Monique Lullier dress. Nathan's presence was steady, comforting. The ceremony at 5 p.m. had white roses lining the aisle, a string quartet playing softly, and 85 guests, all present by choice. I walked alone down the aisle, giving myself willingly to the man I loved, unencumbered by my parents' rules. Empty chairs in the front row reminded me of the absence of their approval, but I felt no sadness. I was free. The reception was enchanting. Dinner under the stars, wine from the vineyard, fairy lights above the long tables. Toasts were heartfelt, laughter genuine, and somewhere in the background, the story of the family fund quietly emerged through Carol Bennett. Guests whispered, astonished at the inequity of my parents' actions, but I remained focused on the love and support surrounding me. Nathan and I danced, the vineyard glowing, my heart light with the freedom of authenticity. The next weeks were reflective. I realized that the story of my wedding wasn't just about money or rules. It was about recognition, self-worth, and the courage to assert boundaries. My parents' absence had been a painful lesson, but one that revealed the depth of true support. Nathan's unwavering love and Eleanor's generosity illustrated the kind of family I wanted, chosen, committed, and unconditionally present. I thought about the small moments, Nathan catching me yawning at a conference, Eleanor asking about my dreams, Jessica meticulously planning every detail, Carol quietly ensuring truth was honored. These were the pillars of my wedding, not the extravagance or societal approval. I understood that a wedding is less about appearances and more about the relationships that endure beyond the ceremony. In the quiet of our first night as a married couple, I reflected on my journey. From childhood comparisons with Derek, through the disappointment of conditional parental support, to the joyful assertion of my own values, I had grown into a woman capable of choosing her happiness. Nathan's hand in mine, the quiet smile on Eleanor's face, and the joy of our guests were tangible affirmations that love, trust, and integrity outlast superficial judgments. Even as my parents grappled with their absence and the exposure of their inequities, I felt a profound sense of peace. I had not rejected them, they had revealed their priorities. I chose clarity over manipulation, love over control, and authenticity over appearances. My wedding, in essence, had become a declaration. I am worthy, my choices are valid, and my life is mine to shape. Our honeymoon in Italy, along the Amalfi Coast, was a continuation of this liberation. The cliffs, the sea, the winding roads of Positano mirrored the journey of self-discovery I had undertaken. Every moment was infused with gratitude for Nathan's patience, Eleanor's support, and the friends who had celebrated our union authentically. I realized that happiness was not inherited, it was actively cultivated through the courage to stand firm in one's truth. Looking back, I see now that my wedding was never truly about my parents' acceptance. It was about recognizing my own agency, the right to build a life aligned with my values, and the power to redefine family. The extravagance of Derek's wedding, the conditional promises, the ultimatums, all of it faded in the brilliance of a celebration grounded in love, choice, and integrity. In the end, the guest list, the flowers, the vineyard, the sunlit aisle, they were symbols, not the essence. The real celebration was the affirmation of my autonomy, the honor of marrying Nathan, and the creation of memories untainted by obligation or coercion. I understood that some people would always prioritize control over love, but I had learned to navigate those realities without sacrificing myself. Even now, months later, I feel the echoes of that day in the calm confidence that guides my life. My career thrives, my marriage flourishes, and my friendships deepen. I carry with me the knowledge that standing firm, even in the face of familial pressure, is an act of courage that cultivates respect and authenticity. I am no longer the daughter seeking validation through compliance. I am a woman who creates her own happiness, anchored by love that listens, supports, and endures. My parents' choices, their absence, and the eventual exposure of their inequities provided a stark contrast that made the beauty of my wedding and my life even clearer. Nathan and I, supported by friends and chosen family, celebrated a union defined by respect, joy, and mutual care. Every toast, every dance, every quiet glance shared across the vineyard terrace affirmed that love need not come with conditions. True generosity is not measured in dollars, but in the willingness to see and honor another's choices. As I write this, I realize the story of my wedding is, in many ways, the story of my life, a journey from conditional approval to unconditional self-respect. From being overshadowed by Derek's accomplishments to embracing my own, I have discovered the power of autonomy, love, and truth. The lessons learned extend beyond the vineyard, beyond the wedding day, into every facet of my existence: career, friendships, family dynamics, and personal fulfillment. In reflection, I can say with certainty that the hardest moments, the conflicts, the ultimatums, were necessary catalysts. They revealed the true nature of relationships and illuminated the path towards genuine connection. The day I married Nathan, surrounded by those who loved me for who I am rather than what I am given, was the day I claimed my life fully. And that is a triumph far more enduring than any wedding fund, guest list, or societal expectation. I am Myra Wells, and this is my story. It is a story of love, resilience, and the courage to define family and happiness on my own terms. 3 weeks ago, I became a wife, but in truth, I had been claiming myself long before that, step by step, choice by choice, until I stood fully realized, ready to embrace a life built on love without conditions.